Good morning and welcome to Paradise. Okay, so down here we've got a beautiful rainforest. It's doubly endangered in that it is a littoral rainforest, just means it faces the ocean, or faces the Great Eastern Firebreak as I call it. And it's also subtropical rainforest, backed by a 130 metre high cliff. And any wind coming from the west, drying winds, does not impact on this forest.
G'day, my name's Bob Crombie and I was a ranger naturalist with the National Parks and Wildlife Service back in the 1970s. We had a helicopter at our disposal and we were flying all over the park looking for things. As we were flying along looking over the palm jungle, I saw this special little patch and I thought, wow, look at that. This one area of giant green trees stuck out. So I took some photos and got in there within a week and we discovered a lost world. It was just magnificent. Giant stinging trees, giant figs, lianes like this going over the whole lot, gigantic boulders with the trees growing on top of them, on house-sized boulders. And there were bird's nest ferns growing on the ground with trunks this tall. And I immediately had to tell everybody that I could. You've got to see this place. Steve, he was in there like a rocket. And he loved it so much he adopted the place.
Well, what makes this forest a little bit different from the rest of the forests in this park? Well, of course, the vegetation. So here, a giant stinging tree. Don't touch the leaves, not even for a bet. There are quite a number of different figs here. This is a beautiful example of a deciduous fig. And most of the figs here have started their life on top of these almost house-sized boulders. And there are quite a number of plant species here which just do not occur elsewhere in the 160 square kilometres of Royal National Park. They need to be preserved. In 1994, a catastrophic fire burnt 97% of the Royal National Park. This was part of the 3% that didn't burn, thankfully. There was a major impact with salt-laden air coming into the forest and slowly killing off the rainforest trees.
There is another factor affecting the lost world, and that is deer.
Deer are a big problem in the park. These were introduced from a small captive herd in the early 1900s.
They're getting into the rainforest areas and they seriously graze the rainforest areas.
Along with a few other volunteers and some national park staff, we decided to protect this site from further damage by building a fence. So now the fence has been here since 2004. Except for one small incursion, the deer have been kept out of the site and we're seeing some amazing revegetation.
And he set up an experiment. He fenced off areas to see what impact the deer had on the grazing in the area. But where he fenced off and kept the deer out, the growth is remarkable. Where he let the deer in, it's bare and flat and grazed and damaged.
So the fence that was built around this site in 2004 was the result of an agreement between a whole heap of volunteers, not just me, National Parks and Wildlife Service, who provided support through the use of their helicopter to drop the pig wire and stakes and other heavy stuff in, and funding from the federal government partial sale of Telstra EnviroFund grant program. Anyway, This was the only site in the Sydney region, I understand, that was funded, which was quite wonderful. Okay, so here we've got some tremendous evidence of regrowth here, good low vegetation, not able to be eaten by deer because of the fence. Here we've got a kangaroo apple, whole host of other rainforest plants. We get huge flocks of fruit-eating birds, particularly things like top-knot pigeons and other rainforest pigeons. Recently there's some gorgeous little birds, log runners, which have reintroduced themselves to the site because the ground is quite perfect for them. Since I've been coming here, I've recorded over 100 native birds in the forest itself. The range of mammals live here: brush-tail possums, ring-tail possums, sugar gliders, a lot of bandicoots here. There's so many nice things here. This is a nest of a yellow-throated scrub wren, a little rainforest bird. That's an old nest, look. Now, why is the nest designed like this? It looks like flood debris. These birds normally nest near rivers or creeks, and the nest is camouflaged to look like something that's washed down in a flood. There's no water here, but there's still the scrub wrens, because there's plenty of food for them. Yep, green catbird. This is the only place in the park where this bird can live all year round because there are fruits all year round. So everywhere else this bird is just a visitor. Beautiful giant stinging tree. Softest timber of any tree in New South Wales, I believe. If you're persistent, you can pick your way through with your thumbnail. But soft it might be, but I wouldn't wipe your bum with it, leaves of it. And you can see just how soft that is. It's soft.
How did it get the name Lost World?
That's my fault. Look, the site doesn't actually have a name, but one of the rangers, Matthew Jones, from the park in the 90s, when we went looking for the site, because we could see it from one of the tracks, we just called it the Lost World in the absence of it having a formal name. So it's kind of stuck in some circles, but it's been used elsewhere, so it's not terribly original. Well, thanks for visiting the Lost World today. Fascinating to hear Bob Crombie's history of the site. And as you can see, it's still a really happening and beautiful place. Originally, I was a little bit hesitant to talk about the Lost World on camera because I thought we don't want an Instagram sensation. We don't want an avalanche of people trying to find the place. We just want it to be looked after. And I think we can achieve that now through our friends in the National Parks and Wildlife Service.